Once again this morning, a terrorist act has captured the news as the hijacking and storming of Egyptian Air Flight 648 ended in tragedy in Malta. There's an uncertain death toll. It's hovering near 50. Certain death of one American. Once again, questions of air safety are being raised, as well as those questions on how best to prevent terrorism. We'll be looking to them in this hour as we talk with two Middle East experts who perhaps can shed some light on both of those issues. Welcome back inside Studio 3B. We're here with Jane Pauley. I'm Bryant Gumbel. We'll get full details in the wake of the rescue of the 30 or so who survived on that Egyptian air flight in just a moment. We'll move to the news desk with Bob Jamieson in just a moment. Jane?
A little later in this hour, we will get a behind-the-scene look at the U.S. Patent Office. If you think you've got a good idea, stand in line. The Patent Office gets hundreds of applications every day, and we'll show you some of the ideas. Not everybody who is an inventor makes any money, but if they do, they might need some financial advice from Andrew Tobias, who will also be our guest here.
Good segue. 8:01, let's move to the news desk. Bob Jamieson is manning the desk this day for John Palmer. Bob?
Thanks, Bryant. Good morning. Malta's government information director put the death toll at 57 this morning in the hijacking of EgyptAir Flight 648. There were 26 survivors. Egyptian commandos stormed the jet last night and exchanged gunfire with the 5 hijackers. The terrorists threw at least 3 hand grenades at the passengers and started a fire that filled the plane with flames and smoke. There were 3 Americans on the plane. One of them, Scarlett Rogenkamp of Los Angeles, was killed before the assault. The other 2 were wounded. The hijackers said they represented a group called Egypt's Revolution, but they never made clear what they hoped to accomplish through the hijacking. The plane was bound from Athens to Cairo. Last June, TWA Flight 847 was hijacked after taking off from Athens. Greek officials contend that security is now tight at the Athens airport, but some question that. More from Jamie Gangel in Washington.
The break in security came as a shock to Greek officials. After the hijacking of a TWA jetliner this June, security at Athens airport was made a top priority. But safety officials are now trying to figure out how, once again, terrorists slipped weapons through. Greek officials say the passengers had to go through 5 security checkpoints and are investigating the possibility that the weapons were planted on board before the EgyptAir flight even landed in Athens. The flight originated in Cairo. But Western diplomats in Athens who asked not to be identified say there are still security problems at Athens airport. One problem, there is a large hole in a security fence surrounding the airport, but Greek police say it is under construction and heavily patrolled. Also, not all the security equipment ordered for the airport has been installed. Even so, the U.S. lifted its travel warning to Athens and believes that safety precautions were up to international standards. But U.S. officials think there may be a Libyan connection, that passengers traveling from Libya may have been able to slip weapons through at the Athens airport. Jamie Gangel, NBC News, Washington.
And in Malta, NBC News correspondent Phil Bremen talked to some of the survivors of this latest hijacking from the Athens airport.
These women were among the few hostages set free before the final shootout. This morning, they went to Malta's main hospital because no one had yet told them whether their husbands, also passengers, were alive or dead after Egyptian commandos stormed the hijacked plane. Amid the bullets, grenades, smoke, and chaos, the Egyptian troops seemed to be firing indiscriminately, according to this Australian passenger who survived.
They kept moving us, lifting us up, searching us, constantly pointing guns and threatening to shoot us. I expect they were as scared as we were.
When the commandos closed in, one hijacker wounded the EgyptAir pilot, who then brought down the hijacker with an emergency axe.
They have indicated very, very clearly that they are not the type who surrenders. So our only hope was storming the airplane.
This morning, some Maltese officials are suggesting Egyptian authorities misled them into thinking it would not be so difficult or so bloody. But no one here is saying this hijack could have been stopped any other way. Phil Bremen, NBC News, Lucca.